this is Justine. Justine grew up in suburbia, but she had big dreams of one day becoming a designer. This was her expectations. This was her reality.
Many hours later.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining the team meeting today. I just want to say thank you so much for all the hard work that you guys put in last week. I know you put in some really long hours and late nights, so I'm just so thankful for that. And I'm also very excited to say that there is a 3-hour wellness seminar taking place today. It's put on by our HR department. I'm sure it would be great, and I would really encourage all of you guys to attend.
Don't we have that deadline due later today?
Yes, we do have that deadline today. So if you are planning on attending this seminar, please make sure that you do put in a couple extra hours of time tonight. Maybe 3 hours or so would be sufficient to make up the lost time for attending the seminar.
There was only one thing left to do. And then there is actually one more thing left to do. Yes, it is true. This is now a house of the free folk. We are both self-employed individuals. And so today's video is actually going to be taken over by my girlfriend, Justine. And that's because I am just so incredibly proud of her for making this big change in her life. And I'm so excited to see what she continues to do because she is just amazing and does amazing things. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this on over to her so she can tell you about her journey, basically starting from somebody who had a negative net worth only a few years ago to somebody who is now able to quit their full-time job and work for themselves.
Hey everyone, so I'm Justine, and some of you might know me as Steve's girlfriend of the gold digging kind. But today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey and what I did to become self-employed. So just to give you guys a little bit of context, as Steve mentioned, just only a few years ago, I had a negative net worth. A lot of that was due to the fact that I had racked up some school debt, and I was also just not very financially literate, so I just wasn't the best with my money at the time. So fast forward into the future, I am now making a $60,000 salary with $10,000 in savings. But I wanted to leave this job with only $10,000 in savings. I also didn't have a future job lined up. So this doesn't sound like the best position anyone would want to be in, leaving their job. But today I'm going to tell you how I was able to do that and what my plans are moving forward. I think it's important to say here that I'm not trying to, sit here and share any magic tricks to amaze you guys into, what I'm doing. A lot of the things that got me to this position was some of the things I'm sure you've heard before, like hard work, save your money, the classics. The hope of this video is to potentially, inspire or allow my experience to resonate with some of you who find yourself in a similar position. Maybe some of you are also, not I don't know, rich? Maybe some of you who are looking to pursue self-employment, who might be in a similar financial position, will find some of this story and experience useful. So I think another thing that I will preface this video with is today I'm going to be talking about my experience in the design industry specifically. My experience isn't the same as others who have been working in the field for a long time. Today I'm going to be talking about general themes that I found played a huge role throughout my career in education, but that doesn't necessarily apply to one person or one company. I've had the pleasure and the privilege to work with a lot of great firms and companies, as well as individuals who have taught me so much and have really strengthened my ability to be even able to think about self-employment. So going back to the beginning, when I was in high school, as I'm sure a lot of you were, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. When I was younger, I experimented in a lot of creative fields, from music to visual arts, as well as, building.
And you had a band.
No, we're not talking about the band.
Yeah, let's play a track.
No.
Comment down below if you want to hear a track.
Tea in the chat. No, that was back in the MySpace days, and thank God MySpace is no longer really a thing anymore, because I don't want that coming up. But anyways, so I also really loved, math, which I know, nerd. But I think what drew me to design specifically was the melding of melding? Is that a word? Okay, the melding of problem solving layered with creative expression. I also had a few teachers who told me that I couldn't do it, so I had to do it. So that brings me to...
Did you just mention Simple Trade by any chance?
No. And then you're just gonna plug in the ad?
Are you tired of being stuck in traffic while on the way to your 2-hour appointment with your financial advisor? Are you completely lost when it comes to navigating the investment platform that your bank provides? Are you sick of paying commissions every single time you want to place a trade?
Hey! What are you doing?
Then consider checking out Simple Trade. Simple Trade allows you to place commission-free trades for thousands of Canadian-listed stocks and ETFs on a beautifully designed, user-friendly interface. Check out the link in the description below to get $25 when you deposit and trade at least $100 in your new Simple Trade account.
Okay, cool. Moving into 3 years later, I got into design school. So design school for me was a rite of passage, and I think for a lot of my peers it was as well. Again, this might not be everybody's experience, but it was a highly competitive environment. Many of my worst habits were formed in design school, from eating really badly, not sleeping, as well as not, generally taking care of myself both physically and mentally. This environment that bred a lot of these bad habits, looking back now, I can see they were kind of the first red flag of what the industry was going to be like for me. So after school, I immediately entered the industry. And after working in the industry for just over 4 years, I saw my mental and physical health significantly deteriorate. Working in the interior design and architectural industry, I worked, oftentimes 10 to 12-hour days. A lot of that time was not paid or recognized as overtime. I was working insane hours, and I was looking at some of my friends who are in different industries and, were already done work while I still had 3 hours to go. And that's not to say that, I didn't believe in hard work, or I still don't. I guess I kind of just came to the realization, what am I doing this for? Now, a lot of people in this industry will say, you have to pay your dues and, you'll be rewarded in the future. And I think a lot of people will talk about you know, we're doing this for the love of the craft, or, you know, you're going to finally have some recognized work by the time you hit 65. But I found working that much was destroying my love of the craft. So all of this to say that 10 to 12 hour days was not changing. My mental and physical health were poo. Can I say that?
Yeah.
And overall, I was just exerting a lot of energy for little to no reward. So I decided it was time to make a change. So when it came to quitting my job, it wasn't necessarily something that I kind of decided spontaneously or in one moment. Actually, a year after getting into the industry, I knew pretty quickly that I wanted to get out. But I knew it wasn't something that I could do immediately, so I planned way in advance. There were a few things that I had to do in order to put myself in a position to be able to quit my job without another one lined up. First was pay off my debt. Like I said, I was net worth. I was poor.
Negative net worth.
Sorry, did I just say I was net worth?
Net worth.
I was net worth. Like I said, I was in negative net worth. So the first thing I needed to do is pay off my debt. The nice thing about having the job was that I was making an income. And meeting Steve was extremely helpful. Not because I took all of his money, but because he taught me how to use my own. So the first year of working, I aggressively tackled that debt. And by the end of it, I had paid it all off. So now that I didn't owe anyone any more money, I could redirect that aggressive paying off of debt towards saving. So I set myself a goal. If I wanted to quit, say in 2 to 3 years, I needed this amount of money to be able to do so. Now I know before I said I had $10,000 of savings, and I know that's not a lot of money, but I knew it was close to enough to allow me to comfortably live unemployed for a few months while I got my shit together. So I took 50% of my income and put it towards a savings account. And over time, as I was working, you know, naturally I got raises and bonuses. So I would take all that extra income and also throw it at my savings as well. The third thing that I did, which I think is an alternative to, you know, lining up another job, was freelance. Now I know I mentioned I didn't have a lot of time because I was working all the time. And so this was another reason why my mental and physical health was so doo-doo. With the free little time I had, I started, you know, collecting contacts and networks to do small freelance projects for, like graphic design or logos. If you've seen the Cash College branding, know that that was me. 3 years ago, or maybe 4, I started building up incrementally small client-based projects. This way, after collecting, you know, small little bits of work over 4 years, I was able to create a really good client base for when I decided to quit my job. So now that I have left, I am able to, you know, have a little bit of a steady income transitioning into self-employment. So the great thing for me about contract work is that I was able to flip this extremely established script that happens, you know, in a employee to employer relationship. Usually working for a larger firm, or, you know, whether that's a corporation, you are signing a contract based on their terms. By that I mean you're accepting what they're laying out in terms of payment, in terms of hours set, in times of days worked, as well as vacation, benefits, some of which are great things. But ultimately, this means that your employer is holding all of the power, basically saying, here are our terms, accept them or walk away. By contracting, I was able to take that power into my own hands. With every firm that I'm contracting with or client that I'm working for, I present a contract based on my payment terms, based on my hours that I would like to work, and present it to them for their acceptance. For example, I'm working for this small interior design firm that I absolutely love working for on a contract basis. We align on so many of the same values, such as, you know, a balanced work-life culture, as well as similar aesthetic, and they're completely female owned. So I've negotiated with them to work 3 days a week, which allows me to completely leave the rest of my schedule open for other client work or, you know, hobbies. a life. This also allows me to diversify my revenue streams so I'm not tied to one corporation or company for all of my income. But the main theme here is that I was able to take back the power that previous employers held over me. So that was basically how I was able to take my dependency on a full-time job to pursue self-employment. One thing that I will say is that I know, this direction that I've chosen for my life isn't necessarily going to be easy. But ultimately, I know it will work for me because I will have more control over my schedule, what I want to prioritize in terms of relationships or hobbies or family. But that's not to say that this path is for everyone. I think it's really important to note that, you want to be sure that self-employment is something you're really passionate about before you create this plan for yourself. There are times even where I thought maybe I just got into the wrong field. But ultimately, I was able to rediscover my passion by taking a step back and figuring out what I really wanted and lining up my financial situation to be able to succeed at it. So I hope this was helpful and potentially resonated with some of you guys who want to take that passion and turn it into a future entrepreneurial endeavor. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, bye.